Alrighty, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our January work session. Before we get started, I would like everyone to introduce everyone to our newest board member who is filling the District 9 at-large seat, Ms. Paige Maddox. So welcome. We are excited for you to be partnering with us. Alrighty, before we get started, I need to call for a motion for the amendment of the agenda. We are going to remove item number 2 off of the consent agenda regarding Appalachia High School and Winterboro High School's track and athletic complex improvements. So can I get a motion to amend the agenda to remove that item?
So moved. No, second.
Mr. Bailey, Ms. Stevens, all in favor? Alrighty, motion passes. Alrighty, so next week, Ms. Bradford, you will have the invocation and pledge. Winterboro High School JROTC cadets will present the colors. We'll approve some minutes, the agenda. Ms. Bradford, you will have, you were the chair for the Clean and Safe School visit, so you will give that presentation. We'll have quite a few superintendent's recognitions. No visitors or requests just yet. So let's go ahead and jump down into the superintendent department reports. We'll start off with Dr. Bowen with support services. Alrighty, thank you, sir. Next, we have Ms. Houston with business services report.
Good evening. Every month I come to you and I present invoices between $10,000 and $74,999. Our purchasing threshold is at for bids and for board approval at $75,000. But that's been moved up over the years from $10,000, and so the board has asked if I just give y'all the invoices between $10,000 and $74,999 every month. So the first ones are ones that have not been board approved. So the first one is for Dan Murphy out of the general fund for $24,210, and that's just for attorney fees, and that's district-wide. The other one is LMI Systems LLC out of the general fund, $23,121, and that's for our S2 license renewal, and that's our scanning system that is in all buildings to scan in and out of the buildings, so we know who's in the buildings at all times. The next area is just the ones that have been board approved, so I don't go through those individually, but if you have any questions at all, just let me know.
Any questions? Alrighty, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alrighty, next, Mr. Perno with the system operations report.
Okay, so just an update of our current projects, and I think I can sum this up pretty quick. Faster 2, doing great, rolling right along because they're working inside. Faster 3 and the park improvement, the school grounds project through the Bear Community Foundation, they slowed down a little bit. Got a lot of rain and sub-freezing temperatures that makes that stuff outside difficult. Still making progress and doing well, but it's kind of what it is this time of the year, unfortunately. I think we have some good weather this week. I hope to see those come along. Unless anybody has any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Alrighty, next, we got Dr. Moten with teaching and learning.
Yes, you have 2 attachments. One is for the Fine Arts Diploma Seal, an opportunity for our students, and followed by that, we will have the announcement of a grant that we received for our students. So I'd like to welcome Mrs. Shelley Fallows. Shelley is our Director of Secondary Education, and she'll be followed by Mrs. Tamara O.
Good evening. Earlier this school year, Bear County Schools applied for the Fine Arts Diploma Seal through Georgia DOE. The seal is awarded to graduating high school students who complete a fine arts pathway and engage in creative industry-focused courses, extracurricular activities, and community service experiences that foster fine arts mastery. Additionally, students complete a capstone presentation aimed at sharing about their fine arts experiences. The goal of the seal is to produce students who are prepared for college and careers in the fine arts-related career fields. The FADS is also a signal to employers and higher education institutions that students prepare to participate in the creative economy. We are so pleased to announce with the Fine Arts Diploma Seals. So in the coming weeks, Fine Arts mentor teachers at our 3 high schools will be supporting our students as they satisfy seal requirements and prepare a final capstone project, which is going to be presented at each school's capstone night. Qualifying seniors will receive the Fine Arts Diploma Seal in May. Anybody have any questions?
It's exciting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes. Alrighty, Ms. Bolden.
Good evening. So, I'm going to talk to you about the K-5 Numeracy Development Grant. This is a grant that the state offered, and pretty simple parameters. They're on the board. The grant just simply had to focus on K-5 students, and it had to align with the K-12 math standards, and it's numeracy development grant, so I had to focus on developing numeracy, and the maximum award was $100,000. So kind of the timeline, the application was released on October 16th. On November 7th, I convened a team, and that team consists of principals and instructional coaches and myself. And we worked on the grant together that day. Then I spent some time between the 8th and 14th of November pulling it together, and then we submitted it. And then on January 11th, Dr. Moon was notified that we were awarded $99,427.
Alright.
They couldn't have just rounded that up to the 100,000.
So we will use the funds to develop Georgia Numeracy Project kits for each elementary school. Currently, we use the Georgia Numeracy Project for math intervention. It is it's a research-based program. The only issue with the Numeracy Project is it requires a lot of teacher preparation. Teachers have to pull materials, they have to create things, they have to round up things, so we're going to make that process much more simple for teachers, because usually our EIP teachers that use the Georgia Numeracy Project, and they may go to 8 or 10 different rooms a day, and they need not only different materials for each classroom, but different materials for small groups within each classroom. So that's a lot of material preparation. If you'll go to the next slide, Rochelle, here's an example. Just for this one, the teacher has to print out the caterpillars, has to print out the cards, the numeral cards, cut them out, round up pipe cleaners, get those cut. So what we're going to do, if you look at the bottom left, you see the little envelope. We're buying those plastic envelopes. They'll be labeled with the name of the intervention. Everything the teacher will need will be inside the envelope. That's like kindergarten intervention. If you look at the next one, it's a little more of an upper grade intervention, but you see for that one, the teacher would have to provide copies, find dies, the students need whiteboards, everything that they will need will be in the kit. So it's just gonna make it easier. And there are 5 stages, and that's the number of interventions in just one of those stages. So you can see it's a lot of work for teachers. That's a stage 1, and we're gonna actually do stages 1 through 5. So the next slide will show you that there are just as many interventions in stage 5. So the kit's going to be, it's really going to make using the Georgia Numeracy Project easier for our teachers, and it's going to benefit our students for sure. And so the grant was awarded January 11th. We're going to work on ordering the grant materials, arranging for printing, all of those things from now till March. Ooh, that's kind of fast. I need to get on that. And in March through August, we will assemble the numeracy projects, and the grant period ends August 30th. So any questions?
That's
The only
awesome.
question I was having when you were talking about what time it's gonna take to put all that together and things, do you need help with you?
I've actually, the principals have also told me that on some of the teacher work days, I can use some of the paraprofessionals. But I appreciate that.
Let me know. My calendar and stuff, but I'll make time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alrighty, next we've got planning and personnel with Ms. Beggs. Not at this time. And last but not least, Dr. Thompson with Strategic Information Services.
Yes, sir. So we have 3 reports for your perusal this month. Under the communication report, we have Ms. Ballas always does an outstanding job compiling how our engagement with the community and a variety of communication methods is going. It was from December, so there's all kind of fun holiday pictures in there, so we encourage you to go through that at your leisure. We also have the 100th day enrollment report. That was last Tuesday. You can see that currently we are up about right at 3% from this time last year. You can also see that enrollment actually for the first time this year on our 20-day counts declined. That is pretty typical. Usually enrollment peaks around the 60th or 80th day of the school year and then declines a little bit from there. So that is there, and we currently have 15,364 students. The report I want to spend a little more time on today, because we present this biannually to you in January and in July, is the strategic plan update. In this case, we have our 5-year strategic plan that the board and the community collaborated to create to show where Barrow County is going. 4 strategic areas, 16 strategic goal areas, and what we try to do is to twice a year give the board an update of where we are with each of the initiatives underneath these goal areas. So to kind of orient you again to how we classify these things, if you look at the bottom of any one of these pages, you'll see a key that will give you sort of where this particular initiative is. Researching would mean we're still trying to understand what we're trying to do at all. We're trying to figure out the best way to approach the issue. We really haven't taken concrete steps. We're still just exploring and planning. Implementing would mean we are currently implementing aspects of this. We may have some things finished, some things may be in progress, but essentially we have not fully implemented whatever the initiative was. If the initiative is fully implemented within a school year, we classify that as completed, which means it is fully implemented, it's operational, and we plan to maintain that going forward. After that year is over, we would consider that ongoing, which would mean that's something we're going to maintain, support, and keep rolling throughout subsequent years. So ultimately, completed and ongoing mean the same things. They mean it's fully implemented and rolling. It's just completed means it was finished that year, whereas ongoing means it was finished the prior year and we're just continuing that through. We also have canceled or sunsetted, which we actually do have a goal that we have for that, and I'll point that out in just a second. We are in year 3 of a 5-year plan. Year 3 is kind of an important year. It's the pivot year. Because what you find is when you do a 5-year plan, you find some of the stuff you plan to do, for whatever reason, don't make sense anymore, or maybe have changed their needs a little bit, so you have to tweak or sunset them. And additionally, there may be some new things that we need to implement to meet those strategic goals that we didn't think of at the beginning of the plan. So what we've tried to do is this year we'll be focusing on goals that may need to be sunsetted and goals that may need to be added in order to meet some of these areas. In this particular case, we did have a single goal on page 7 that we are sunsetting, and just to kind of explain how this works, that was a goal in the area of community engagement that went to build a BCSS ambassador program, which basically means try to represent positively the school system in the community. That goal does not go away. We need to do that. What we figured out was we didn't necessarily need to create a new team to do that. We could actually utilize existing teams in planning and personnel in other areas. So instead of having this lingering goal of creating this program, it's like we can be more efficient and simply meet that through existing resources. So that's the kind of work that gets done in those areas. So between now and July, we'll be spending a lot more time looking at other goals that may need tweaking, things that may need adding, because you want to use year 3 as the kind of year to rejuvenate, make sure the plan is where it needs to be. The last thing I'll point out is on page 10. What you have is in that area, in each of the 4 areas, we've sort of classified what percentage of the overall initiatives are either completed or ongoing, and you can see a percentage of those. And the goal would be by year 5, we want all of those things to be at 100%. But again, it is a marathon, not a sprint. You don't get everything implemented by year 3, but as you can see, we've made tremendous progress, and a lot of areas are fully implemented and rolling onward. So in this case, that's the update to the board. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have, and if there's any particular areas that you would like at subsequent meetings for us to talk a little bit more about or highlight, we're also happy to do that. So I'll field any questions you guys have.
I have one.
Yes.
I was just curious, what is our bullying prevention program?
That would be Character Strong, which is our social emotional learning platform, which part of the reason we adopted it was when we went through the various ways it could be utilized is it also had that component in it. And so therefore that would be a strong approach to that. So it is our Character Strong program.
And what is the Character Strong program? Is that something you brought or?
Sure. I mean, we could pull that information together for you. We've presented on it before, but we'd be happy to pull that together for you, Ms. Brad. We can get that for you.
I have a question on, when we're looking at the percentages that are done, is there a reason that family engagement and culture and diversity haven't had much done in them at all?
I think my take on that would be they're harder to do. Like those are, anytime you're talking about people and culture, those are slower changes and those are things that require a lot more thought. It's a lot easier to just, in the case of some of these, just to buy a program, implement a program. The harder change, and the culture is the biggest driver of all kind of outcomes for us, but it just takes a little more time with those, we think. And obviously, any area that we've not made progress in, we're going to continue to look at and figure out, what do we need to do to make sure we get there by year 5. But in this case, those are the biggest ships to turn around sometimes, and so we have to take a little more time with them, would be my basic take.
What are the metrics that are behind those percentages? 'Cause that's kind of a
It's
hard
literally
thing.
as simple as we ask the people who are responsible for implementing those particular
Like
initiatives,
where we're at.
where do you think you're at?
Yeah.
And then based on how they classify them, I just say, there are 7 initiatives under this goal area, and you have all 7 of them either completed or ongoing, it's 100%.
Right.
If you tell me they're, because again, it's a big plan, it's
It seems
impossible for
kind of
one person to
arbitrary
manage
that
all of it.
I'm just kind of confirming that it does seem a little arbitrary to put a number by those
Sure.
schools, so.
This is why I would encourage you not to focus as much on those. We give those to you for a shorthand, but at the end of the day, underlying all of these numbers is a whole lot of nuanced work that's being done by a whole lot of people. But at the end of the day, if we didn't have something to give you, just be like, well, we're doing all right. And that's not probably going to work either. So we go with the best solution we can find.
Can we get some kind of, because the family engagement and the culture diversity comes up at every one of our training
Sure.
things, is there something that we can get as far, that can be given to us that shows, okay, here's the 7 things, and here's, maybe not a percentage, but shows here's where we are,
Sure.
and here's what we're actually working on, so that when the public asks us, we can say, okay, here's where we are in this process, and this is what we're looking at.
We can absolutely pull that together for you.
Basically, man, it doesn't have to be, anything elaborate. Just
No,
let
just
us
bullet
know what
points.
we're doing already and basically what the plans are going forward. So we'll have an idea exactly where we are in this.
We can do that.
I met with a guy today that's in charge, it's a different entity, but one of the big things we're having a problem with is family engagement. And I'm not surprised to see this. It seems to be across the board, and I don't know I got a theory about what it is, and I'll keep that to myself, but it looks like that's across the board, not only in school systems, but in a lot of different areas in our culture now.
It's a major challenge, but that just makes it all more important that we get it right.
Yeah. Well, when y'all figure it out, I want to know.
We can sell it then. Any other questions? Like I said, we'll try to get you answers on those things that you guys have raised, and like I said, we'll have another update for you in July, and we'll talk more about it then. But thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. All right, we're gonna go ahead and hop into new business, and we'll start off with Mr. Webb with custodial equipment.
Good evening. The Barrow School System has an opportunity for system-wide replacement of some well-used and aging custodial equipment through the use of some remaining ESSER funds. The Barrow County Schools Maintenance Department advertised for new custodial equipment on the school system's website and the Georgia Procurement Registry website. 3 vendors provided pricing for this bid. Athens Janitorial Supply was the lowest bidder and met all the requirements of the bid, including delivery stipulations. Athens Janitorial has satisfactorily provided equipment to Barrow County Schools. As the result of previous bids, the custodial purchases will not exceed $211,446.40, shall be paid from the ESSER funds that are still available. Superintendent recommends entering into a purchase agreement with Athens Janitorial for the equipment. Any questions? Getting 20 new scrubbers and 20 new buffers to help us in the summertime, take care of the wax and rooms.
All right, consent agenda? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Alrighty, next, we've got Dr. Moten with a request to purchase literacy materials for Auburn Elementary.
Dr. Michael is going to share that
here to present some requests to spend money for literacy materials for some of our individual schools. So the first one is for Auburn Elementary. They would like to purchase the Structured Literacy with Ease classroom kits. So the superintendent recommends authorizing the purchase of Structured Literacy with Ease classroom kits for grades K through 5 at Auburn Elementary School. Acquiring these kits for every homeroom teacher in grades K through 5 is a strategic investment aimed at enhancing the literacy skills of students through small group differentiated reading instruction. Empowering homeroom teachers with these kits will enable them to implement specialized small group instruction sessions that target specific literacy challenges that students may encounter. The purchase will also increase the number of decodable text available within their classrooms. Each kit includes teacher guides, small group lesson resource booklets, small group sets of decodable text that are directly aligned to each phonics skill, high-frequency word maps, and more. And these kits will be used daily during small group reading instruction. And so Auburn feels that ultimately integrating these kits into small group instruction will empower K-5 teachers to build a stronger foundation in phonics and literacy. And we know that's a huge push across our state right now. And they feel that this will enhance the overall academic achievement of their students. And the budget request on that, or the request to spend, they'll use their L4GA grant funds. They'd like to spend up to $89,443. Any questions on that one?
Do we know anybody else that's used this?
I do not, but I would defer to Auburn on that. I can definitely reach out and ask.
Okay.
Consent agenda?
Yes.
Alrighty, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. One more.
Okay.
This one is for multiple schools, books for school libraries and grade level book rooms. The superintendent recommends authorizing the purchase of books for school libraries and or grade level book rooms from Follett Corporation. Increasing the selection of text available to students will help to develop proficient and engaged readers by developing learner agency through choice-based reading, supporting the development of students' research skills, and by ensuring students have access to text that are aligned with their lexile levels. The financial impact of this one is up to $90,000, and the various schools that would like to order from Follett will be using multiple funding sources. Any questions on this one?
How are we ensuring that these books that we're purchasing are going to be age appropriate for the grade levels?
I would defer to the board policy on media centers. Decisions are made at the school level by the school media committee that's appointed by the principal. So I think that not much has changed with that process. Those things are still looked at by a committee. And then I would think that, there is a process by which parents can complain with board policy as well, the material harmful to minors complaint resolution process.
Thank you. I know there's a committee to do this, and it's done at the school level, but I need to make sure that there are some parents and community leaders making those decisions, and I think that was the intent of the board originally. So I just want to make sure that that's being done. So if you could.
I can make note of that. I think that would be something that would be handled probably at a pay grade above mine, but definitely can make note of that.
Well, if we could
Right now,
just.
it just says that media committee would consist of school administrators, media specialists, faculty representatives, parent or community representatives, and student representatives.
Okay.
I want to ask Jeannie for a thing or two.
Hey, Jeannie.
Yes, policy does lay out who is on that committee, and it does include parents, community members, and students.
I just want to make sure that's being done, because I know sometimes it's hard to find parents and community leaders who can do that.
Correct.
And so I just need to make sure that that is being done, that we're finding them somewhere. I don't, looking in the closet.
The principals are in charge of appointing members to that committee, both within the school and those external.
Okay. Thank you.
Alrighty, consent agenda? Thank you so much. Alrighty, well, that was a short one tonight. We will authorize for committees to meet next week, and then just notice our upcoming meeting dates. We do have a called board meeting next Monday at 6 p.m. here in the boardroom with Dr. McCannon regarding the superintendent search, and then our regular scheduled board meeting next Tuesday at 6. 6 o'clock. Both at 6, Monday and Tuesday next week at 6 o'clock. All right, if there's nothing else to discuss, we're adjourned.